afternoon, sports fans. Welcome to Roundball Digest. Fran Libonati, along with Bruce Leib, and we'll have to get this correct now, who is the Division I Wyoming Valley Conference first half titleist. So, Coach, we talked last week what a difference a week makes. This is just incredible. What a difference 2 weeks makes. If I recall correctly, 2 weeks ago, we were sitting here, and to your credit, your spirits were very good. Even we're 1-2.
Well,
you didn't seem like there was any time to panic because you had felt that overall, for a relatively young team, we'd been playing very solid basketball. But I know that you've been around the game so many years, and you can't tell me, although Mr. Franzosa would probably say he might have been able to predict it, but the performances, and not only the victories, where they were, they occurred is one thing. The point differential, to me, is staggering. So maybe you could just walk us through. We're 1-2. We had played the cross-section Division II opponents, and again, you had mentioned Hanover very, very tough. You had mentioned Nanticoke very tough, and Crestwood. And an interesting sidelight to this, when we had dropped the first game to Nanticoke, there were some people saying, well, what about Nanticoke? I didn't think they were that tough. Well, Coach, you get another kudos. You're the first half titleist Division I. I believe Nanticoke, Division titleist Division II.
I'm laughing because I know Mr. Franzosa will want to know. Somewhere in there's a question. But no, Lib, you're correct. The last 2 weeks, no one was pressing the panic button, as I stated, but I mean, I wasn't an elated coach. We weren't playing very well, but I knew we could play better, and we started playing as a team, and I really think, led by our team captain, George Evancho, in the middle. The way he passes the ball when he's double-teamed, he stopped forcing his drive, started passing, moving without the ball. He's such a tremendous rebounder. That opened up the great shooting for Russ Kanzler, Brandon DeCosmo, Brian Fiore. Just, you know, that really was a key to it, and guys are hitting shots, playing together, they're having fun playing together. Andy Price has come on. So it's, to take you through it, we started with Tunkhannock. I believe we played well in the second half. We did. The last 2 quarters of that game after Hanover, played very well against Berwick and beat them handily, and then came back and beat Pittston handily home. Then had a up and down game. We're ahead big against Valley West on the road. They came back and we won that one. And then we beat Coughlin up there handily. And then going into the Monday night showdown with Pittston again for the first half title, I really thought it was going to be a closer game, much closer, but our kids just played great defense, and we hit shots. Pittston, you know, they just didn't hit the shots. They had a lot of shots in the first half. They weren't hitting shots, and then we pulled away in the second half. Really proud of our kids. 6 straight wins. It's what we wanted to accomplish. We said we needed 4 games at one point, I believe after the Berwick game. We got, you know, Pittston twice and Valley West and Coughlin.
Okay, I remember you saying that there were 4 things. You said our goal,
right,
we have to beat Pittston, which of course started with that. And at the time, Pittston with the 1-game lead coming into Hazelton area, where you've been fairly successful against them at home, but they've always been difficult on the road.
And again, Pittston, interrupt you, they only had 1 loss to that point. They had beaten GAR in the tournament final, the McGrain tournament final, I believe. So they only had 1 loss going. It was just a Valley West game. Overall, even in their exhibition season, they've been playing very well until they came into our gymnasium.
And it's interesting, again, because you did mention with those wins, Tunkhannock was the reigning champion. Of course, that was the one that it started us on the track. Berwick away has always been a challenge, and the point differential there was just staggering, as you mentioned earlier. Then Pittston coming in. If Pittston beats Hazelton area, they basically have the first half wrapped up. They're not able to do that. Then you still had, and you know, this is the part I think that I know as a coach would have concerned me a great deal. You still had Wyoming Valley West and Coughlin both on the road. They're always well-coached teams that have given us trouble away from home. So even after beating Pittston, if I'm a Pittston supporter, I feel, hey, okay, Hazelton area still has a challenging schedule. Take those 2. If they're able to defeat those opponents, if I'm Pittston, we still get another shot at them. And I know that, you know, there's an old adage that it's pretty tough to beat a good team twice within a week. You beat a very good team. And again, as we said before, rather handily. I'm talking now as a fan, because I'd have said, hey, look, that looks like a 5-6 point game either way, and you come back with that victory.
Well, you certainly would think that. Even as a coach, Libby, you know, you don't go into a game. In fact, it bothered me a little bit. Certainly we wanted to win, and we played well down at our place, but you're worried about what are the kids thinking. We demolished this team, and we practiced and told them it's a completely new game, different game, different officials. A lot of things could happen, foul trouble, and some nights you're on shooting the ball, some nights you're not. But again, we just pretty much stayed with what we were doing, and it worked out for us. They were cold shooting, Pittston. They had some open shots early that helped us, and then we just capitalized. And we're playing very confident, but not cocky. We don't have that cocky edge to us, which is good. And as Russ Kanzler's been repeating, respect everyone, fear no one. He's picking up on that phrase pretty well, I see in the paper.
Okay, I noticed, Ninevehs, they've handled themselves very well, Coach. It shows that you give them a little bit of that freedom, and they're listening to you because they're not only mentioning it, they're going out and performing that way. The thing that surprised me, too, that I looked at the 2-point field goals in the championship first half game. I think Pittston only had 6 field goals for 2 points, which again, against a team that you and I know is a very talented squad that have been scoring 50s, 60s early through the season. And again, we talked about the defense. You are giving the team an opportunity to score. I said this several times, but I think it bears to be reiterated that a lot of times they'll talk about defensive struggles when both teams are in the 30s, and I'm just saying that, there's not that much of an opportunity to score. You're scoring, so they're getting the ball back. And when you start looking at 25 and 30-point differentials, you have to be extremely pleased with a total team effort.
Well, we did play very good defense, and again, that's where we thought, that would be the difference again if it was a closer game. And I think it's one of the reasons why it wasn't in the second half, especially. We did have a nice, comfortable lead at the half, but the defense and rebounding was there all evening. Our pressure looked good, but matchup and some of the things we were doing on the quarter court area was really, we were swarming the ball. We were getting out on their shooters. We held Munski and Teague down, and they're very good players. Munski is, he'd been going about 18, 19 points a game, and on that night he had 9. So that's a great job because they're fine players, and really, Pittston is a very good basketball team. Make no mistake about it. We just had 2 great games against them.
You've been very, very solid. I think they scored just 10 points in the first half last night. And again, when you're talking holding a team under 30 points for a game, great effort. In fact, on our second segment, we're going to have some clips of that. So we'll be back with that and more following these messages. Slide, we were just talking about, fortunately we have some clips, but you and I know you were one of my great former students that when they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, I'd much rather use the 1,000 words, as you know. But again, Wyland's done a great job with some clips, and they're going to run those for us. Maybe you could explain to the fans, because following these, they're also going to go back to the Bruce Leib Clinic with a couple of little questions and explain some of the terminology in basketball. So if
people at the coffee shop want to hear that. Right?
Okay, very good. And we're talking to several. I'm mentioning the interest. I know it's always been very high, but it seems like this year, a tremendous number of people have been really taken to the Cougars. And I think one of the reasons we started relatively slowly, and now you've really caught the imagination. I don't think a great deal was expected. And you brought home the first half championship, and I know right off the bat you're already thinking about Wyoming area. But let's enjoy this performance against Pittston.
Definitely. Yeah, first clip here, Brian Fiore. It's one of our first buckets of the game. Nice shot, and he got us rolling. We needed that basket. Both teams did not score for a while, and Brian came down with a nice shot. Next clip, we have George Evancho underneath. A nice power move. Now we're back into our press again. Now we're just going to have a series of clips coming here. Evancho to Russ Kanzler. Actually, from Brian Fiore. Russ hits a deep 3. That was off a set play. That was a big shot, big time 22-foot three-pointer. There's Russ again in the corner, and Russ hit 4 threes in the first half. He really got us going. That pass was from Brandon DeCosmo. The next clip coming up here will be Brandon DeCosmo with the 3. Really, we were on fire in the first half. We have open shots there because right before that you see the ball movement. It was very good. Right here, Russ in the other corner. Nails another one. He's on fire. We go back into our pressing defense, and I think right now we've pretty much shell-shocked Pittston because we're on. Brandon DeCosmo, nice baseline move to Russ, same quarter, and he gets the friendly shooter's bounce, as we like to call it. And we got another one coming up here. That's George Evancho with a real nice move. He spread the floor. George took an opportunity to drive the lane, avoid the charge, and finish the layup. He's doing that well. There's George, I believe, the three-pointer, and wants everybody in the gym to know about it. Bless his heart. He's been playing great and really being a great team captain right now. There's Andy Price, who's really come on. He had 4 blocks, Big Andy did, and 5 rebounds Monday evening against Pittston. Andy played fired up. Offensive rebound by Ian Hearn. This is late in the game when our subs were in. Ian came off the bench and hit 2 there. There's Jared Doyle, another reserve late in the game. A 3-point opportunity. He got the goal and he was fouled. JR is a 100% hustler all the time. Now we're back, I guess, going a little backwards in the game. Georgie Vancho on an offensive rebound. Probably in the 3rd quarter, that looked like. Russ Kanzler, good ball moving again. Georgie Vancho, real nice move into the lane by Brandon DeCosmo. With, as you would call it, Mr. Libinati, a runner in the lane. Very nice shot by Brandon. It was a nice move by Ratchford, I believe, from Pittston. And George was an animal on the boards. Just an animal. I say that in the best sense of the word, of a rebounder. He was great. Russ Kanzler on the layup. Again, this was probably early 4th quarter as a timeout. What I really like, and again, great credit to the camera crew because they picked some great plays. What I really like too is all Cougar scores, nothing with Pittston. That's why they're called highlights, right? Okay. It's interesting too because it showed the rebounding, it showed excellent passing, tremendous perimeter shooting, and I think the way it's opened up so many scoring opportunities. And I know you can't script it any better. You have to be extremely thrilled with the way each of those games, we talked about the last 6. Different people have taken the opportunity to be leading scorers. I know George, as you said before, that's a constant. I don't know if there's a more consistent player, in the league, and I didn't get a chance to see that many other teams, so it might be unfair to some of the other squads. But I know the leadership he has shown. And, of course, with Brian and Russ, and again with young Brandon coming on, and you said, Andy, the improvement. It also showed, and I was really glad to see this at the end, as you mentioned, some of the boys coming off the bench playing just as solid. They still play Cougar basketball, which has to make you feel really good. And we had 2 guys out. I was concerned, of course, you always worry about, kids getting in foul trouble. We had pretty much our 2 backup point guards, Justin Gutsy and Glenn Farley, were out sick. They did not make the trip, up to Bishop Hoban. So the kids did a great job. Tim Weiss came in and played very well. And again, Russ Kanzler hit some big-time shots in the first half. Yeah, some of those you talk about the range. 1 or 2 of those looked like they were NBA three-pointers. Yeah, but again, you said before, we're playing with a great deal of confidence. And it just seems like it's a clinic the way we're playing. Evidently, did you pressure them defensively? We didn't get too much of an opportunity to see those. We did. They turned the ball over. Our press, we used pretty much the same press and kind of tried to contain them with our press and not do too much trapping with it. And it kind of took them out of what they wanted to do and got us moving up and down the floor. Another thing that I noticed, that we put teams away, and I know it's totally different than the NBA because last night I had an opportunity to see some clips. The Sixers were up like 20 or 23 in the first half, and the Celtics ultimately won the game. I know it's a totally different level. But what's interesting, when you've had big first half margins, it hasn't let up, and as you mentioned before, there's not really dramatic fall off when you go to the bench, and that's a key point. The 2 boys that were ill, they are vital parts of the team, but it shows that you went a little bit deeper and still did not see much of a fall off. Well, we played, to be fair, we played our first 5 for, the first 3 quarters. I think our first sub was in the 4th quarter, so we did not play a lot of people Monday evening. Tim Weiss came in, as I think Dave Seaman wrote in the paper, like with 7 minutes and 34 seconds to go in the game. And that was our first sub. So they were kind of an iron 5 up until that time, and then we subbed, with like 3 minutes to go. We got the other guys in, and they, as you would know as a former coach, they completed the game. They didn't go in even though we had the lead, and it wasn't sloppy. We've been doing that, again, the last 2 weeks. We've been playing outstanding basketball. We had some games earlier, the Dallas game where we, ran away with them, but then we came back and did not play well. Now we're on a roll, and I told the guys before the game, I didn't want to wait till after the game. I said, look, we've been playing well. Continue just, playing team basketball, and we'll take whatever the outcome is. And I'm extremely proud of this group of kids because they've been doing that, win or lose. Obviously, it's put us on a winning streak, but I feel we'll continue to do that. And we're going to have some real challenges in the second half. There's no question about it. It's not going to be easy, but it's fun because it's fun to coach them. They've been fun all year to coach, but we wanted to get them to where they're playing the way they are right now, sharing the ball.
Yeah, I think what Bob Knight has a line that he's not overly concerned with the opposition, that if his team just plays the kind of basketball that he wants, then that's going to take care of some of the questions that people might have. And I think that's what's happening. You've been playing extremely solid defense. I know that you've preached this for years. I don't know if there's any other team that I've seen in the Willamette Valley Conference where there is the scoring is so equally distributed. You know, there have been some great players in the league that have carried teams. You know, you look at Mattis, who was outstanding in Willamette Valley West, won several championships. He was an exceptional player. But it seems like with what you're doing this year, that every night, as I said before, you do have the big three, and then Brandon's moved in there, and you've used Andy and a couple of other kids in that other slot. But it just seems that any night, and that's why it's so difficult, I think, to defend you guys, because you are so balanced.
Well, when we're, you know, we have good shooters, and again, when we're moving the ball, it's and you're hitting shots, you're a tough team to defend. We're going to see some good defense. Obviously, Wyoming area plays well. Crestwood plays tough man-to-man defense in your face, and they do it for 32 minutes. So we have some tough games coming, but we do have the first half under our belt, and that is a good feeling.
Okay, we're going to be back with the coach following these messages. A good portion of the game. We're wondering maybe what they had done defensively, if there were any surprises, and what you had played defensively. I know evidently it was smothering defense, but maybe you could tell us the way both teams lined up.
The first time we had played them, they played strictly man, so they came out with a 1-2-2 zone this time. Then they went man again late in the game. So we kind of figured they'd change it up a little bit, and they did. We pretty much did what we did the first time. You know, I didn't think we needed too many changes. We were ready to adjust if they, you know, handled our defense pretty well, but we were successful with it, so we just stayed with it.
Did you pressure them a little bit? I mean,
we definitely pressured them. Yeah.
It seems like when you started doing that everything has been plus. A lot of positive results. As I think that, you know, it seems like, of course, we're scoring more points. You're causing a lot of turnovers, and it seems like it's given the kids some open looks where you know, you're getting the 4 and 3, 3 on 2.
Sometimes when you press, though, this press is not like a full court, you know, all-out press. We've pretty much been, teams have been, we've been making the teams create their own mistakes by, in other words, not overcommitting on the press, not getting into early traps, and we've been just containing, as I like to call it. They've been throwing the ball around, most of the teams. Now we're going to see teams attack it better as they see it more, and you know, you don't have to be in the press the whole time. So as it works, we stay in it.
Yeah, just one other comment in the Pittston game, then we're going to talk about the upcoming challenges. But I guess you could expect, Coach Brown, you did the right thing. The fact that the man you had done really well against in the first time made a good adjustment. I mean, coming out, give you a different look, which he would hope at least would force you to play a little bit different offensively. But evidently, we made the adjustments pretty quickly.
Yeah, we have good shooters, but you have to hit the shots. But again, the key is that we made the extra pass to the shooters, and Russ came out on fire, and, you know, Brandon hit a couple, and Brian Fiore hit the 2 early. You know, he had the first 4 points of the game. I think there were 4 minutes gone, and he was the only guy that had scored until, or actually their Evans kid hit a 3. So they did get an early lead, Pittston. But Brian held us early with 2 field goals, and then, you know, Russ kind of went wild.
Okay, I think we always have a portion of our program for a little coach's clinic, and maybe tonight, I know that people who follow basketball for a great number of years used to have guards, forwards, and centers, but I think now that there's been numerical placement on each of these positions, maybe you could explain 1 through 5 what those positions are when people are watching a game or listening to it.
Well, the one spot is notoriously the point guard position, guy that handles the ball, and I think most coaches at any level, you know, use that as a one spot as a point guard. Number 2 is usually the shooting guard, okay, and that remains the same at every level. Then after that, it might change for, you know, some people like a 3-man as a, you know, maybe a third guard, like we like to play him. Some use him as a small forward. We've had most of our teams, because we haven't had a great size, we've used a third guard. You know, in the old days, like John D'Agostino would be a third guard, and Russ Kanzler right now is our 3-man. A 4th spot would be like George Evancho, a power forward, and he certainly is that personified. That's more of a power forward. You can run that guy inside out, which George, did hit a 3 last night, but I want to remind them we need him inside. He's he's the best rebounder in the league. There's no question. And 5 spot is usually the post player. If you don't have a post player, you go like two 4-men, but Andy Price is becoming a post player. So if you have the center, he's a 5 guy. But I remember Pete White, the coach from Williamsport, when he said that they won the state championship, he said his numbers were 1, 1, 2, 4, and 4. So he had like 2 point guards, 2 power forwards inside, and a shooting guard. He didn't have any, he didn't have a 3-man and he didn't have a postman. So if you look at it like that, Brian Fiore is definitely a 1. We might be playing with 2 3s, 2 small or 3 guards. We might not really have a 2. I mean, both of them are shooting guards, there's no question, but they're a little bigger, and or maybe both Russ and Brandon DiCosmo could be considered 2s, and George is certainly a 4.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach. And right now, the way the team is playing, it's a 10. We're going to be back following these messages. Back with Coach Leib. And Coach, we've talked about the past, and that's one of the things, again, in basketball. Wonderful, but I know you're already talking, although the kids have an opportunity for at least 12 hours to enjoy being first half champs, but you might tell us what's in store, because it's going to be a very challenging second half.
No question about it. We start off with the Wyoming area, and they come down into our gym. But they've been playing teams tough. I saw in the paper where Coach Callahan said very tough team. Coach Bartuska was talking about Wyoming area too. That they're not an easy team. So they have good, hard-nosed kids. They'll be down. Then Crestwood up there, very good. One of the better teams in the league. Well coached. Very, very strong man-to-man defensive team, with certainly one of the best scorers in all 3 divisions, and that's Grant Carter. He had 30 the other night. That's up there. Then we have the last crossover game of the year with Lake Lehman at home, and then we start the conference, Division I conference, again, our division.
Okay, that's going to be a challenge with Crestwood, because whether you play them home or away, they're extremely well coached. Young Atherton does a great job there. But the good news, I guess, in the second half, and I know you don't want to jump ahead, we will have Wyoming Valley West at home, and you'll have Coughlin at home. Am I correct? And I guess Berwick at home. But we do have to go to Pittston again, one at a time. And the way we're playing right now, we're pretty confident. But again, it's one game at a time. I think the good thing for you and the Cougars, and I know we're playing extremely fine basketball now, but it's wonderful to have that first half tucked away. A lot of hard work. You guys rewarded with the championship.
Thanks a lot.
I want to congratulate you on that, and good luck for the second half. We'll see you guys right back out there next week.
6-point win. Tough to imagine both teams now facing off in a playoff situation with the first half championship on the line. This game up at Bishop Hoban, where Hazelton area has some bad karma. Remember the foul shot game with the Lady Cougars against Wyoming Valley West last year? Well, Hazelton looking to manifest some new positive karma at Bishop Hoban High School. Last night, the Crazies were out in full force, and what they saw was a pretty good offensive game for Hazelton area. Look at this move. Brian Fiore with the jump shot. Hazelton area up early. George Avancho with a strong drive on the baseline, up and off the, that wasn't even off the glass. No glass necessary. Fiore gonna find Russ Kanzler spotting up, off a screen, good for 3. Brandon DeCosmo gonna find Mr. Kanzler right in front of our cameras for another 3-pointer. He had 5 of them on the night. DeCosmo now with a 3-point basket of his own. Very good deep shooting for Hazelton area. They built a 30-point lead at one point, starting to sound like a broken record. DeCosmo to Kanzler, splash. It's the Russ Kanzler shoot-around as he gets, this is not a replay. This isn't quite a splash, though. It's a jingle, and then a splash. A friendly hop off the iron. Pittston concentrating on the outside, but didn't concentrate on Avancho on the drive right there, and Mayor Barletta on hand. Looking on to the second half, we go, and Avancho telling Kanzler, hey, anything you can do, why can't I do? He hits a 3-pointer. Hazelton area again up 30. And some of the guys who don't get the headlines, Andy Price pulled down 5 points. Mr. Hearn with the put back right there for Hazleton area, and J.R. Doyle going to seal it with the drive and the foul. Get in there. It does. Hazleton area wins. Final score, they are your first half champions, 54-23. And was Coach Leib surprised that it was a 31-point lead?
The fan support was great, Max, no question about it. But our kids have been playing really well, and they just continued it tonight. We played great defense. Again, just beat a very good team and made them look probably not as good as they are.
Did you expect a game like this 31-point win?
Not at all. Not the first time, not this time. But our kids just won't be denied, and they wanted to finish off the four-part series of what we needed to do to win the first half, and they did it. Well, we won the first half, but we didn't win the league yet, so we want to take them one at a time now in the second half.